So let me introduce you to Jos de Blok. Jos leads an organisation in the Netherlands called Buurtzorg. And this really was the inspiration of our work in Wellbeing Teams. But what I know is that you can't take a model from another country and just translate it into your country really easily, because there are so many things that are different. And what's famous about Buurtzorg is that they have healthcare support from nurses. They are small, self-managed teams of nurses that support people in the community. So we wanted to see whether we could do something in England that was like that, but not with nurses, with carers. So these were the questions that we asked ourselves. Can we deliver care in people's home that gives people as much choice and control as possible over their service and improves their health and well-being? Can we do that through self-managed teams in the way that we've seen in Buurtzorg? Can we focus on outcomes? So in England, the focus is what's called task and time. You have a task, you have a small amount of time to do it, you have to be in and out of somebody's home very quickly. But can we do something different and focus on outcomes? And can we do this in a way that's funded by the state? So that means, can we do it within the amount of money that's available for home care? So that led to Wellbeing Teams getting started, and this is our purpose. Our purpose is to help people live well at home and to be part of their communities. And just to be really, really clear, the work that we do is to support you to get up in the morning, support you to have your medication, support people to get dressed and get showered, and support people to have their meals. But rather than only doing that, we also wanted to see if we could contribute to people feeling part of their community and reduce loneliness and isolation. So that's what we're trying to achieve together. So we're different in three very specific ways. So the first way that we're different is because the teams are self-managed. So that means we don't have any managers in our organisation, and the jobs that would be done by a manager are shared within the teams, and I'll explain how that looks in a few more minutes. We also focus on bringing the whole person to work. So what that means is the staff that we employ, the wellbeing workers, we want them to bring their passions, their interests, and their hobbies to work, not just their hands. So we talk about bringing people's head, heart, and hands into the workplace. And finally, we're neighbourhood-based. So that means we work with one small community at a time. So each wellbeing team has no more than 10 people in it, and it works in a very specific neighbourhood. So what's different about how we support people? Well, the first thing is we work in ways that support people to be in control of their service and design the service around the person. And in England, the language used to describe that is called co-production. So that means that we listen and find out what really matters to people. We find out what their priorities and outcomes are, and we co-design the service with them. And that means thinking about the time that people need support and exactly what they want to be supported with. We focus on the whole person. So we find out what matters to each person we support. That means who matters to them, the relationships that are really important to them, their hobbies and interests, and what gives their life purpose. We take an asset-based approach. And what that means is we focus on people's strengths and their gifts, not just what they can't do because they're old. And we also think about people's well-being. And finally, we think really broadly about how we can support people to achieve their outcomes. And we do that through something called the support sequence, which I'll talk about in a few minutes' time. And we know that what creates a good life for people is not just the physical care that you get in your home, but it's your relationships and your purpose. So we focus on community connections, and we have a specific approach that we're doing around helping people be connected in their community. So Our journey to well-being starts with what matters to you. And in traditional home care in the UK, the first thing that happens to you is you'd have an assessment. And that assessment would focus on what you can't do. So you can't move your arms very much. Is that something we need to help you with? You can't feed yourself. Is that something we need to help you with? You find it difficult to go to the toilet. Is that something we need to help you with? But in Wellbeing Teams, we need to know that information, but we also find out what matters to you. And one of the ways that we record this is with a one-page profile.
A one-page profile is a simple summary of what matters to you. It's the first page of your health and social care records. When a health or social care professional needs to find out more about you, they can read about what matters to you as a person before looking at any health conditions or medical diagnoses. By sharing how you want to be supported, treatment can be tailored around you. This way, you can make better decisions together and help you take control of your health and care. A one-page profile has 3 sections: what people appreciate about you, what matters to you, and how to support you in relation to your health and care. But you only need to share things that you're comfortable other people knowing. One-page profiles are part of how we're putting what matters to patients at the heart of our health and social care.
So one of the things that would be different if you looked at our paperwork in Wellbeing Teams is that rather than starting with a diagnosis or a list of what you can't do, there'd be a one-page profile that talks about what matters to you and exactly how you want to be supported. So this is the support sequence, and this is what we use to think about how we design your service with you. And the first thing we think about is self-care. And what that means is, how can we help you feel more confident and more skilled in looking after your own health? It's been brilliant for me being able to walk around the exhibitions in the hall outside there, and I've seen one of the exhibitors has some videos about how people can do exercises to strengthen their muscles and to improve their well-being. And these are exactly the sort of things that we want to do in Wellbeing Teams, is how can we help you maintain your strengths, maintain your skills, and keep as well as possible for as long as possible. And in the UK, the term that's used for that is self-care. As we've seen from the fantastic presentation in the main hall this morning, that we have to think about technology and digital ways of supporting ourselves as part of care at home. And that's something that we're doing in Wellbeing Teams as well. So we're starting to explore what's called smart homes. So how can we put devices in the home that can tell us how often people are using the kettle, which will tell us whether people are likely to be dehydrated. And of course, you know that if you're dehydrated or if you have a fall, you're much more likely to end up in hospital. So how can we get that kind of health data that helps us support people well? And on the other side of this photo is a woman we support who's using Amazon Alexa. So we're also looking at how we can use digital and technology to help people do more of what matters to them. And she uses Alexa to listen to audiobooks during the day. So we think technology has got to be really a strong part of how we support each other and how Wellbeing Teams are working. So as well as self-care and assistive technology, we know that friends, family, and organising our colleagues and friends in the community to be together are what can help us live well at home, take care of our own health, and support each other. So I'd like to share with you a small film that explains how community circles are trying to do that.
I've always been close to my mum, Olive. She's always been a confident lady, but when she left hospital after a fall, her confidence was really knocked. The jobs she needed help with were small, but they soon started piling up. And me and my husband Brian could only visit about once a week. I suspected other friends and family wanted to help out, but it felt awkward to ask, and I wasn't sure I even had the time to keep track of everything. When I called the council, they told me Mum didn't qualify for funded support yet, but they emailed me about community circles. Mum and I agreed that it could really help us out, so we phoned the local Community Circles connector, Kath. She came over for a cup of tea to explain how it would work. We thought about everyone who might be interested in joining Mum's community circle. Mum got to choose a local facilitator, Lucy. She's there to help the community circle work towards its purpose of supporting Mum to live well at home. The community circle has monthly meetings round the kitchen table with Mum, me, Lucy, Amir, Samira and Brian talking about what needs to be done. The meetings are great, friendly, informal and a good way to get everything organised. We use Rally Round to write down anything that needs doing. This way we can keep track of jobs and other members of the community circle who can't make the meeting can be involved too. We all choose what to take responsibility for. And when it's done, we cross it off the list. This way, everyone can see what jobs need doing, who's doing what, and when they've done it. Regular emails keep us in the loop, and the mobile app helps us do it all on the move. Lucy, the community circle, and keeping track of actions on Rally Round has totally taken the pressure off me and made sure everyone's doing their bit. The whole system is safe and private, which means it's not just old people that can benefit. It's great for anyone who's vulnerable and needs a little extra help. Thanks to community circles and Rally Round, Olive now has a crack team taking care of her. Everyone feels included and makes a contribution which helps us all feel useful. No one gets too stressed, and Mum never feels like a burden.
Part of taking an asset-based approach means that we look at what's available in people's lives, both their strengths, what they're able to do, but also their relationships and connections. And community circles are a way that we can organise and support friends and neighbours and family to support people to live well at home. And that gets organised through an app called Rally Round. And then finally, we want to see how we can use what's available in the local community to support people to do more of what matters to them. I'm the registered manager for Wellbeing Teams, and that means that I also go on shift and support people once a month. And once when I was doing that in Wigan, I was supporting people to get up in the morning, to take their medication, and to get dressed. And we were having a conversation about the kind of things that people like to do. And one woman I supported said, I used to love knitting, but nobody wants any knitted things anymore. And then the next person I supported, I carried on the conversation about knitting, and she said, oh, I used to knit when I was younger. I'd love to take that up again. And eventually what I found was that out of the 7 people that I saw that morning, 4 of them really, really wanted to start knitting again. So what we did is we started a knitting group for local people to come together and get knitting again. And this now happens every Tuesday, and it means that we support people to get out of the house, to come together and meet each other, and to do something that matters to them. And that's one of the ways that Wellbeing Teams work. So we know that relationships are so powerful in terms of us feeling well and our well-being. And one of the slides that we saw at the end of Michelle's presentation earlier was called the 5 Ways to Wellbeing. And one of the 5 ways to well-being is staying connected to people and being connected. And we know that being lonely is the health equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So part of what Wellbeing Teams does is help people stay connected. And we focus on relationships. And that means we want to find ways to help people stay connected to people who already matter to them. And that's family and friends. So we can set up closed Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups for families and people to talk to each other and support them to do that. Or we can find ways of sharing photos and other information. So we're trying to use digital ways to help families and friends stay connected. Somebody we support has got 2 sons who live in Canada. And one of the things that we do is we take an iPad on a Friday night. So on a Friday, our job is to support David to have his evening meal and to take his medication. But when we arrive, we take the iPad and we set him up on Skype so he can talk to his sons for 20 minutes while we get the dinner ready. So it's how can we use technology to help people stay connected to friends and family. The other thing we do is we try and make the half an hour or the 45 minutes that we have to spend with people go as far as possible. One of the things we introduced are things called pamper kits, which is a small bag that has 3 nail varnishes, an emery board to file your nails, and massage cream. Because if we've got 3 minutes at the end of our shift, we know we can paint somebody's nails and help them feel good about themselves. We're paperless as an organisation, and all of our work happens on an app. And we give our team members phones and a data allowance. Uploaded on our phones is spa music, because we think if we're giving somebody a shower, we can be putting spa music on and giving people a spa experience as well. So all the time we're trying to think about different ways that we can support people to live well as providing the physical support of helping people get up in the morning, people having medication and meals, but we want to go further than that within the time that's allocated. One of the things we've developed is life storybooks, which are really common in lots of work within the UK, but we've found beautiful books that people can fill in, and families and the individual themselves and our staff team take just 3 to 5 minutes a day to write information about people's life story. So we're creating a living record of the person and who they are. We talk about staff members bringing their whole selves to work, and this is a picture of Mandy. And Mandy used to be a hairdresser before she became a wellbeing worker. So one of the things that she does in her work is gives people a quick blow dry as part of her role as a wellbeing worker. This is Sarah. Sarah used to work in a pub, and she's a wellbeing worker now. And one of the things that you can see in this photo is Sarah was doing a 3-minute manicure on somebody she supports using very glittery nail varnish. Mabel had never had a latte in the whole of her life. And one of the things that her wellbeing worker did was take her to Starbucks so she could try a latte for the first time. And we heard in the previous presentation about robots. Well, you can see on our photo there, that's our robot cat that many of the people we support who have dementia enjoy stroking and cuddling. One of the roles in wellbeing teams is specifically just to support people to be connected in their community. And Becky takes that role in the Manchester team. So although everybody else in the team delivers personal care and physical care, Becky has a slightly different role, and her role is to find out what people want to do in the community and support them to do that. Even though we're really focused on supporting people to be in communities and to do things that matter to them, what we also know is most of the people we support don't see anybody else outside of wellbeing teams. So lots of the people we support have 3 half-an-hour visits a day and have nothing else to do except the company of the TV. So one of the things we're trying to do is to find out more ways to support people to have good days at home. So we've been introducing things like mindful colouring and knitting and jigsaws and finding different ways to give people things that are ways to do more things that interest them when they're at home. So the first way that wellbeing teams are different from traditional home care in England is our focus not just on delivering personal care, the physical care that people need to live at home, dressing, feeding, medication, etc., but also to focus on supporting people to get out in the community and do things to matter to them. What's also different about us is how we recruit team members and how we support them through self-management. And what's really different about us is 80% of team members have never done care before, because we believe that if you've got the right values of wellbeing teams, we can train you to deliver great care and we can support you to bring the whole person to work. So here's one of the adverts that we use to explain what we're all about. Are you looking for a role with more control over how you work? Perhaps you'd like a job with security where you can grow and develop your skills and experience. Or do you want a job where you know you're making a difference? We're looking for wellbeing workers to help people live well in their own home. Whether you've worked in care before or are new to this type of work, if you're passionate about people and share our values, we could have the opportunity for you. Our values are compassion, responsibility, curiosity, creativity, and working in ways where everyone can flourish. The service is new and innovative, and we need amazing people to join our team to bring it to life. We'll provide full training and personal development opportunities to help you grow. This video explains a little bit more about what we do. We talk about what a wellbeing worker's role looks like and how wellbeing teams work differently. And if this sounds interesting, we'd love for you to give us a call for a coffee chat to find out more. How do we achieve true well-being? Is it about being safe and well? Perhaps it's about doing more of what matters to you, or staying connected to important people in your life. We think it's about bringing all three together. That's where well-being happens, and that's why we created Wellbeing Teams. So what does a wellbeing worker do? As a wellbeing worker, you'll support people to achieve all three of these elements. You'll be expected to get to know people really well, and together with them, you'll design their care and support. Then you'll work as part of a team, chosen by the person to deliver that plan. It could include anything from helping a person with personal care, such as washing or dressing, administering medication, or preparing meals. And as well as these tasks, you'll be supporting people to do more of what matters to them in partnership with the charity community circles. That could be getting out and about, starting a new hobby, or reconnecting with a faith community. Together, this helps us combat the four big challenges of old age: loneliness, boredom, feeling of helplessness, and poor health. Does this sound good to you? If you want a rewarding career that enables you to develop your skills as well as helping older people, then we'd really love to hear from you. Wellbeing teams focus on the well-being of the people we support and your well-being too. In the UK, there's a national shortage of carers, and currently 8% of vacancies are unfilled. We think one of the ways to combat that is to intentionally recruit people from hospitality, from customer services, and from care and beauty, and sort of childcare and beauty. So we've been trying to work in different ways to recruit people differently, using animates like that. But we don't take CVs, and we don't do interviews. Instead, we do recruitment workshops, and here's an example of our most recent one. So we recruit differently, we find different kind of people, we find matches to our values, and we support people to bring their whole selves to work. And this is a very, very different way of working that fits with self-management. So I just want to explain in my last few minutes how we organise our teams without managers. So we find out what the gifts of team members are so that we can figure out whether we can use them to support people well. So if you love knitting, you'd be great to be part of our Knit and Natter group. If you love reading, could you help us set up a book club for people we support? Each team member has a buddy. So in this photo here, you see Michelle, who's the wellbeing leader, and her role is to coach the team in self-management. Jodie in the middle used to be a hairdresser before she joined Wellbeing Teams, and next to her is her buddy Becky, and Becky used to be a van driver and work in a distribution centre. So we've taught Becky and Jodie how to deliver great care, but we also want Jodie to keep her skills of using a hairdresser, so occasionally she does a blow dry for some people we support. So these are the different roles that we have in Wellbeing Teams. So Becky, who you've just seen, she's the community connector, and her role is to help support people to connect to their communities and to facilitate community circles. That's one of the videos that I showed you earlier. Michelle is the wellbeing leader, so her role is coaching the team and taking the overall responsibility for quality. Every wellbeing worker, and remember there are 10 of them in the team, each one of them will be a link worker for somebody we support. So Jodie is link worker for 2 people that we support, and that's like being a key worker. And then every wellbeing worker delivers practical day-to-day support that people need, getting up, washing and dressing, but also helping people have good days at work. And the way that this happens is this is state-funded, and everybody we support would have an assessment from the social worker, and the social worker would allocate how many hours support that person could have each week. So say that's 8 hours. And what we do is work with the individual to think about the best ways to use those 8 hours to support the person, and the link wellbeing worker would check with the person every month as to how well we were doing in using those 8 hours. And that's how we try and co-design the service with the individual. And then these are the roles that happen in the team for self-management. So we have somebody who's responsible for making sure that our schedules work, both for the team and the people we support, so those are the rotas. We have a weekly team meeting where we talk about everybody we support and make sure we're delivering a great service, and Patsy facilitates that. Shirley records the team meeting. She's the reporter-recorder. Becky helps us recruit new colleagues. And Jodie's a storyteller, and that's how we track stories, share what we're doing, and share on social media what it's like to be a wellbeing worker. And that's the main way that we recruit new people into teams. So in essence, this is what self-management means. Rather than your boss holding you accountable, the teams share accountability with each other to make sure we deliver a great service for people. So I've just got one short animate to share with you just as we finish, which shows the 8 different ways that self-management works in wellbeing teams.
Wellbeing teams offer a fresh approach to home care that's different in 2 ways: how people are supported and how the team works together. The well-being in wellbeing teams stands for both people supported and for team members. You cannot do one without the other. There are 8 ways that self-managing wellbeing teams are structured and supported. The first is the handbook and person-centred team plan. These are the 2 important documents that describe the way that the team works. Team members have a copy of the Wellbeing Workers Handbook, and each team co-creates their own person-centred team plan. Together, they form the basis of the induction. For each new team member, this is a completely different way of working, and the handbook is a way to explain what this means, so people can keep coming back to it until it becomes second nature. Whilst the handbook is standard, every person-centred team plan is different, as it's created by the team as their personal way of working together, and it starts through the induction. For example, a team plan will include one-page profiles for each team member, people's individual purpose and the co-created team purpose, individual and team values and strengths, team agreements, how we're going to work together, how we're going to give each other feedback, how we stay in touch as well. The person-centred team plan is kept updated and live in two ways, through the development sessions in team meetings and through the person-centred team review every 6 months. The second way is roles. As the team manages itself, there are specific roles that managers would have done that the team does themselves. Some of these are shared roles and others are taken by different individuals. The role that's shared in a wellbeing team is the role of the link wellbeing worker for each individual who's supported. The other roles are for meeting facilitator and development, community navigator, scheduler, that's doing the rotas, and assistive technology. The decision about who does which role is made during induction based on strengths and interests. People take roles for about 6 to 12 months, and the person who's taken the role then becomes the coach for the next person who takes the role on. The third way is coaches, and there are two kinds of coaches in wellbeing teams. There are short-term coaches for the specific roles and an overall team coach. For each of the roles we mentioned, there's a coach who has expertise in that area. For example, the community navigator role is coached by the community circle connector. This coach's role is to support the new team member for 2 to 3 months until they're competent and confident in that role. The overall team coach is the registered manager who supports the team through induction and ensures that each person is competent in their role as a link wellbeing worker and passes the care certificate. Then her role is to be available to support the team to problem solve. Team coaches are not decision makers, but they can facilitate problem solving and offer advice if asked, but the decision always stays with the team. The fourth way is buddies. Unlike the short-term role of coaches, each team member has a buddy within the team, another team member. The purpose of having a buddy is to both support and challenge each other and to provide feedback. People choose their own buddies, and together they work out how to stay connected and how often. The fifth way is various ways to stay connected. For example, the team uses the top-rated app Slack to stay in touch. Each team has its own channel for team communication, and there are also channels for people who fulfill the same roles across different teams. For example, there's a channel called Community, where the community circle connectors and the community navigators across a range of teams connect to share tips or ask questions. The sixth way is through team meetings, and the team meeting process combines positive and productive meetings and elements of the holacracy tactical meetings. So this includes a review of actions and metrics to look at team performance, updates on any changes for each person supported by the relevant link wellbeing worker. And then the two main areas of the team meeting are raising and addressing tensions, problems or issues, and a development session. The development sessions are to continue to develop as individuals, to deepen the team's understanding of each other, and keep developing and improving how we work together. At the end of each session, the team meeting facilitator will check whether the team has learned or changed anything that means that the person-centred team plan needs to be updated. The seventh way is through scenarios. Each fortnight, there's an hour's session via video conferencing to look at scenarios. Scenarios are real situations that have happened, and the team reviews the situation and what they could learn from this. This could be how to improve an outcome or other ways to solve a problem, or practicing moving from outcomes using the support sequence. Team members present their situation and the coach works with the group to facilitate, support and challenge. This is how the team keeps developing its practice, using real-world situations so they can practice thinking creatively and solving problems in new ways, as well as getting feedback. And finally, the eighth way is through the person-centred team review. Every 6 months, the team coach facilitates a person-centred team review. This means looking at what's working and not working from different team members' perspectives in relation to living the team's purpose, the team's agreements, roles and processes. This leads to the team agreeing their own outcomes and actions for the next 6 months and updating the team plan to reflect this. The design of the structure and support for wellbeing teams is inspired by Buurtzorg and draws heavily on our existing work on person-centred teams, Daniel Pink's work on motivation, and Keegan and Leahy's deliberately developmental organisations. These 8 ways are how we put the well-being for staff in wellbeing teams.
So this is what we've tried to achieve, creating wellbeing teams that focus on the well-being of people we support and deliver personal care, and the well-being of team members too. We've tried to integrate focus on community, a focus on technology, new ways of organising like self-management, and we're learning a lot. So it's been my absolute pleasure to share what we're trying and learning in the UK with you today. Thank you very much.